what's kind of a standard offer, and what are add-ons that are possible?
Absolutely. So that can get really complex and really simple. On the simple side, we are a full service air charter provider. And as a part of that, we will work with clients on catering requests. We are happy to provide ground transportation and arrange all of that for a client. And we generally just pass that through at cost onto the client. Because really, that travel experience, it begins, the second you step your foot out of your door at home. And we have some phenomenal partners for ground transportation services so that, you have a seamless and stress-free experience, the second you're out your door as you go to the FBO and as you're traveling. So I think the cornerstones of the ground transportation and the catering, when you get into really complex itineraries, especially with very long distance travel, some of those things get into, having a flight attendant on a heavy jet, which is fairly standard. But then from an operations perspective, pre-positioning crews, because there is duty time and duty days, so that you can have a crew swap and operate completely uninterrupted. And an example of that is actually an itinerary to Asia from the East Coast of the US. If you're in New York and you're going to, Shanghai, Singapore, anywhere in Eastern Asia, the way that itinerary is actually going to work is you're going to depart the East Coast of the US, you're going to fly to Hawaii and land in Hawaii. The crew will have been flying for 10 hours and they will be hitting their duty limits. They'll duty off and they'll get off the plane in Hawaii. When they land, they're refueling, and at the exact same time, a brand new crew that's been resting in Hawaii is going to get on the plane, and you're going to take off a half an hour later and be uninterrupted. So pre-positioning of crews, and then certain other proactive things. So I think we may have mentioned mechanicals earlier. Mechanicals happen, but there are preventative steps that providers can take to minimize the impact of a mechanical on a client. And the biggest way that can be done is by requesting an aircraft be positioned the day prior to an itinerary rather than the same day.
Sure.
Planes don't tend to break, as they're mid-flight. They tend to break as they're taking off, landing, or taxiing. That's when, you get some red blinking light that is some obscure part or piece in the aircraft that, in some instances can only require a half an hour of work to address. But the key there is that if you're positioning the aircraft in the day prior, that window for those mechanicals to occur, they're gone, or they happened as that aircraft was positioning in that evening prior. And that way you have, an 18 to 12 hour window of time to go address that problem before it starts to impact a guest's itinerary.
Does the client pay for that extended positioning? Like you said, let's say we're going at 8 a.m. They come in at 10 p.m. and we know we're good, but what's that cost the client to minimize that volatility?
Right. So in some instances, if an operator can't accommodate it, they can't. You can request it and you can certainly pay for it upon request. But what we try to proactively do is work with our operators and partners to line up schedules or try to create that room to position the aircraft the evening before. So for PJS anyways, it's just a default request to the operator.
Okay.
And as we look at the private aviation ecosystem as a whole, it's in everybody's best interest to operate at that level to provide that service to clients.